Everyone listening is a person of principle, and today I must ask you to open your hearts and minds to the possibility that how we treat animals is an issue which goes to the very heart of who we are. It helps us determine if we have grasped the most basic problem facing those who wish to resolve conflicts, a lack of empathy for others who are not exactly like us. In Washington recently, I saw a bumper sticker on a car. It read, "I am you, only different." The car sped off before I could see if the driver was male or female, black or white, old or young. But wasn't that the point? The driver's identity wasn't important. It was the message, "I am you, only different." Animals are you, too, only different. When I was 8, I left England to live in Asia. The culture I was used to was completely different from that of the other children I met. So was what I wore, how I appeared, my skin color, my language, and even many of my behaviors. The other children didn't understand me when I tried to communicate with them. They sometimes laughed at my attempts to be understood, and in one remote village, a boy actually came up and poked me with a stick, hard, probably just to see what I was made of. It's true that we don't comprehend the other animals' languages, doesn't mean they don't have them. It is true that most humans are ignorant of animal cultures, doesn't mean they don't have them, and that animals' behaviors and needs are quite often misunderstood. So they get poked with a lot of sticks, one way or the other. It isn't right for them any more than it was right for me. Temptations to separatism are ever present. When Martin Luther King, the icon of the U.S. civil rights movement, protested the Vietnam War, black clergy said he should stay out of it. It was a different issue. It wasn't violence specifically directed at black people. And Martin Luther King said these magnificent words, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." A movement is successful when it's diverse and it recognizes the larger context within which it lies. Violence affects all walks of life, human and animal, and to allow one form of violence to exist while asking for the eradication of the other seems painfully hypocritical. Much of our bias is born of an incredible level of misunderstanding, of ignorance about animals. In the days of slavery, which really wasn't so long ago, people in the United States honestly believed that African men didn't feel pain as white men do, that African women did not experience maternal love as white women do, and so it was quite acceptable to brand men's faces with a hot iron and to auction off slaves' children and send them vast distances away from their loving mothers. All evidence was to the contrary, yet highly educated people defied their own ears and eyes and their own common sense and their own ability to deduce by denying the facts before them, simply because society accepted the exploitation of those races, and it takes commitment to break away from the norm, even when the norm is so ugly and so obviously wrong. Today, we have abolished human slavery, at least in theory, and at least we know it's wrong, but we do continue to enslave all the other species who, if we're honest with ourselves, show us that they experience maternal love as we do, that if we burn them, they scream as if we burn ourselves, that they desire freedom from shackles just as we do, and that if you tickle them, they giggle as we do too. In fact, there was a study recently about how mice tickle each other in play and giggle, but at frequencies so low that we can't hear them without instrumentation. They are killed simply because someone is powerful enough to steal their land, run them out of their homes, take their young from them, Cut them up and eat them, experiment on them, use their skins, treat them as amusements to jump and dance and be forced to fight for some human fleeting pleasure. They never can feel secure. They must creep and run. Nonviolence can be expressed through kindness to the animal nations, the ultimate kindness being to leave them in peace and refrain from exploiting them, something we do only because we somehow, without thinking, suspend our dearly held belief that might does not make right. A nonviolence movement cannot stand silent while factory farm animals, whose meat is distributed worldwide, are forced to live their entire lives never seeing the sky or breathing fresh air, confined to spaces barely large enough for their bodies, pumped with drugs, beaten daily, fed deliberately nutrition-poor diets, and slaughtered in the most painful and heinous ways. People who try to justify mistreatment of animals by saying that they're stupid and they're dirty are using arguments that have been used historically against those who are marginalized and dismissed. Even if we believe ourselves to be superior, we are not entitled to be bullies. In Exodus 23:5, we are told, "If you see a donkey of your enemy lying under its burden, would you refrain from unloading it? You shall surely unload it with him," which shows the potential of compassion to transcend and even resolve human conflicts. The Quran preaches kindness to animals, stating that all creatures of Allah are sentient beings. Every kind of cruelty to animals is forbidden in Islam. Jesus, looking for a metaphor to describe God's love for humanity, invoked a hen's love for her brood, and in the Sermon on the Mount, he preached, "Blessed are the merciful." In Deuteronomy, we read, "Justice, justice shall you pursue," meaning that justice can only be achieved through justice. Perhaps nonviolence, too, can only be achieved through nonviolence. It can begin at our breakfast, and it can be part of everything we do all day. Once we have confronted our biases and we've made peace with the others around us, it will be as if we ourselves have let the sparrowhawk out of his unjust prison and spared his life, reunited him with his mate. Then truly, the peace process has begun. I wish you all great peace in your hearts and energy in the important work of being a good citizen in this world. Thank you.